Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ark Survival Evolved Dossier readings. This time we're going to be going through all 8 of the bird dossiers from the island on Ark Survival Evolved. Starting off with the Dodo. Species Raphis replicae, diet herbivore, temperament oblivious. Raphis replicae, more commonly known as the dodo bird, is quite possibly the dumbest creature I've ever seen in my life. It wanders around the beaches of the island, eating berries off bushes and being eaten by all manner of carnivore. This subspecies of the dodo has developed an unbelievably clever way to sustain itself. They mate constantly. I'm fairly convinced that they reach full maturity within a week of being born. This is the only thing keeping them populous on the island. There is almost no reason to domesticate a Raphis replicae. It cannot carry enough to be a beast of burden, it does not provide much food, and it's too stupid to show companionship. I suppose it could work as a last-ditch food source, though. Next is the Pelagornis. Species Pelagornis myocanus, diet piscivorous, temperament skittish. The much larger ancestor of water birds like the stork or pelican, Pelagornis shares many traits with its modern-day brethren. However, it seems to spend much more time hunting for fish over the open, deep sea. In fact, I have rarely spotted a wild Pelagornis anywhere near the coasts of the main island, as it prefers to rest its wings by paddling along on the ocean's surface rather than waddling across the island's beaches. Perhaps this behavior is a result of its survival instincts. The early Miocene was a post-dinosaur epoch, after all, and Pelagornis would not be accustomed to such predators. Considering how quickly it flees from humans, one can hardly blame its caution. Because of its ability to fly, walk, and surface swim, attained Pelagornis is one of the island's most versatile mounts, but this comes at a cost. The same webbed feet that allow Pelagornis to serenely maneuver along the ocean's surface prevent it from snatching prey from the ground, which may limit its appeal to some survivors. Next is the terror bird. Species Forest rapidseculator, diet carnivore, temperament aggressive. Ranging from 8 to 12 feet tall, Forest is a highly aggressive avian that is just barely capable of very brief flight. Instead, it uses its wings primarily for balance during its high-speed sprints. Forest flight is actually closer to an impressive sustained leap or glide that is assisted and lengthened by flapping its wings. Forest shows interesting traits related to theropods such as Utahraptor, Carnotaurus, and Tyrannosaurus. It has many similar traits such as general shape and predator patterns, but its attacks tend towards lightning-fast dashes and beak slashes. Forest is an effective combat mount, particularly for harassing and scouting. Riders of Forest can gain most of the benefit of a fast, mobile, ground-based theropod, while also gaining some of the freedom of movement from a flyer, assuming the rider can coax Forest into staying in the air after a long leap. Next is the Kairuku. Species Kairuku waitaki, diet piscivorous, temperament friendly. Kairuku is an amazingly docile and friendly creature to everything but fish. Honestly, I'm not quite sure how Kairuku manages to stay populated across the island's colder climes with the many predators stalking these frozen lands. It is weak and has only one small defensive trait. Suspended in Kairuku blubber are small, dense particles that act as a light form of armor. Adding to Kairuku's problems, a clever survivor discovered that refining Kairuku blubber, concentrating the particles in it, can yield a natural form of the same polymer utilized in advanced tribes' manufacturing processes, a practice colloquially known as Kairuku clubbing. There is no reason to tame Kairuku for combat, since they are useless in a fight. Still, Kairuku are regularly tamed for their cuteness and friendly nature, and the fact that their bodies run extremely hot. Just standing near Kairuku can help keep a survivor stay warm through long, harsh nights on the icebergs. Next up is the Argentavis. Species Argentavis atrocolum, diet carrion feeder, temperament short-tempered. Lording over the skies across the island, Argentavis has few aerial rivals. It is a small consolation for the island's other avian creatures, then, that Argentavis seems to have little interest in anything alive. Argentavis is actually slower than the island's far more common pteranodon, but it possesses significantly more stamina and can sustain flight for approximately 3 times as long. Its weighty stature in comparison to the pteranodon allows it to utilize its talons to support the weight of an additional passenger. Considering its saddle doubles as a mobile crafting station, It makes Argentavis an excellent creature for traveling and hauling cargo over long distances. Quite apart from what I would have guessed, Argentavis does not have the stooped neck typical of modern buzzards and vultures. I don't know if it's adapted this stronger neck to deal with the predators on the island, or if its lineage derives from before the stooped neck became common in carrion-eating birds. Whichever it might be, it has enabled Argentavis to carry smaller creatures within its beak. Next is the Archaeopteryx. Diet: carnivore, temperament, fearful. Approximately 1 meter long, the Archaeopteryx is a primarily tree-dwelling proto-bird. It avoids the ground as much as possible, preferring to stay in the safety of the trees where few predators can reach it. I've not seen an Archaeopteryx outright fly yet, so it's possible that they can't generate enough lift to be more than glide long distances between perches. I'm not sure how a creature as fearful of the ground can be such a picky eater, but Archaeopteryx seems only able to consume certain rare insect matter. The most likely explanation is that it tends to nest in infested trees, stripping them bare of such food sources. While not large enough to bear the full weight of an adult human, Archaeopteryx still has great utility. Despite the creature's inability to fly, its wings have sufficient strength to dramatically slow the rate of a person's descent, if that person holds Archaeopteryx while airborne. Taming Archaeopteryx can be somewhat troublesome though, as it refuses to eat most common food sources and glides to prospective safety at the first sign of any interloper. Next is Hesperonus. Diet: piscivorous, temperament, flippant. Appearing as something of a half-duck, half-dinosaur, Hesperonus is a medium-sized fish-eating bird common in the rivers and lakes of the island. It would be about 2/3 the height of a human if it stood tall, but it rarely does. Hesperonus spends most of its time gliding along the surface of the water, where it's much more maneuverable. Hesperonus is barely a threat to any land-dwelling creature, as its legs are too short for it to move around effectively, but it has a surprisingly fast speed on the water. It can easily hunt down fish and other small water-dwelling creatures. Not particularly useful for hunting and not being affectionate, Hesperonus are primarily kept for the specialized eggs it produces. When rendered correctly, the eggs separate into two distinct substances. One is a protein substance high in calories, and the other is an oily liquid that is effectively the same as the oil found in the oceans in the island. Finally is the Ichthyornis. Diet: piscivorous, temperament, skittish. Among the most vocal creatures on the island, Ichthyornis is actually a relatively normal seagull. Living near the beaches, it primarily eats fish, and its distinctive cries can be heard echoing over literally every beach across the island. As you might expect from a seagull, Ichthyornis will flee at the slightest provocation. Ichthyornis is an excellent fish hunter, often catching and killing small to medium fish in one attack. Its primary method of predation is to dive into the top layers of water and impale or bite its prey. When looking for fish, Ichthyornis will often just fly in circles over the water and wait for its next opportunity to dive. Ichthyornis surprised me by being a very loyal and social creature once tamed. It likes to ride on its owner's shoulder and bring that person treats, in the form of fish, of course, which its beak grip enhances with extra healing vitamins. The personality of Ichthyornis reminds me of a house cat hauling a dead lizard back to its family, except bringing extra healthy fish instead. And there you guys go. That's all 8 of the bird dossiers from Ark Survival Evolved. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my other Ark Survival Evolved dossier readings on my channel, including every single dossier from Extinction, Aberration, Scorched Earth, and the rest of the dossiers from the island. If you guys enjoyed, then leave a like, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.